I'd like to call the board session for the Hannaford School District to order. And again, I need to apologize. Sorry. Okay, so before we yes. Oops, I don't have my microphone on. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Laura, we have student matters to report on.
Yes. In the student matter 19-002, do I have a motion to uphold the recommendation?
We make a motion to uphold the recommendation with a change to the length of the suspension. We should be changing the length of this, excuse me, changing the length of the expulsion to June of 2019. The remainder of the recommendation stands.
And I believe that needs to be a roll call vote.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
President Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Holguin?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes,
Trustee Monette?
Yes.
and probably should say I'll second that. If it's been already
Yes,
seconded.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
In student matter 19-004, do we uphold the motion recommended, the stipulated expulsion?
Do I
I
have
have
a
a
motion
motion.
for that one?
I'll also move.
Okay. That's Community Day through graduation, yes.
Perfect.
We want to-
Roll call vote as well.
Okay.
Is that
Or-
clear that the motion is to include expulsion to community day school through graduation? The rest of the remainder stands.
President Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Holguin?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Trustee Monette?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now if everybody would please stand and join me in the pledge. Tanya, would you be willing to lead us, please? Okay.
All right, ready to begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, I'd like an approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Okay, Dr. Young, our highlight for this evening.
Yes, I would like to welcome our Tanya Courtney to the podium, our food services director, who does an incredibly good job for us, making sure all the kids in the Benicia School District are fed really well. And so we thought it would be a nice opportunity for her to join us this evening and share some of the highlights of her very high-functioning program, of which we're all very appreciative. So good to see you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, board members, for having me over. Thank you, everybody from Benicia, to giving me the opportunity to talk about a little bit of our program. So I have a little bit of a summary for last school year. So we last year we served 53,556 breakfasts, 327,194 lunches, and the total 380,750 meals for the year. The revenues came out pretty good for us last year. Our revenue was $1,695,623.99. As expenditures was $1,619,227.84, which added to our program $76,396.15, which we did improvements for our school sites. So we invested in the beginning of this year. We purchased 5 new point of service computers to open 3 lines at the middle school and 2 lines at the high school, and to expedite the meal service for the students. We also purchased 4 new warmers, 2 for middle schools, 1 for Joe Henderson, and 1 to replace old equipment that no longer could be repaired. and a new freezer for Joe Henderson, which I'm still waiting for the delivery. And we also increase our staff hours. So we always put the money back on our department. So we changing equipment and investing in our staff. So what we did for our students for this school year, we have now a total increased 9 lines for the nutrition breaks because the time to serve the students, we need more lines open. So, and we have now 13 lines open during the lunchtime. So actually at lunchtime, the kids have plenty of time to go to lunch and have plenty of time to socialize with their friends. I mean, plenty of time. At the middle school, we opened for breakfast now from 8 to 8:30, and then we have a not much participation in the morning, but the kids is still coming, and then they have the opportunity to eat before they go to class. And then they have a nutrition breakout, so we have 9 lines open there, which we have a second room then we open, and we serve the kids there, and I think increase this was new service for them, and I think it sounds like the kids are pretty happy with that. The time is short, but we service as much as we can at that time. And then lunchtime we only open 8 lines because you will look like we with 9 lines we didn't increase participation since last year, so we always look into the labor versus meals participation. So right now we have 8 open. And we open breakfast at Joe Henderson Elementary School, which are right now we're serving between 40 to 45 students in the morning. And let's see. So in the beginning, every year the students have 30 days to have the eligibility from the last school year. So after 30 days, they lose their eligibility. So we have 14 pages of students that are going to fall off the program because they haven't reapplied. So we contact parents. We had a pool from the CalPEDS for direct certified students. And sometimes when they do that through the Medicaid, they don't have one student, one family, one do receive and the other one don't. So we have to pair them up, and we went from 14 pages to 4 pages. We call parents, we email, we did, we go above and beyond to make sure we don't miss anybody. So, that's also send letters to parents to encourage them to apply, even if the timeline is passed, because they help us out also to have extra funding for the LCFF. So, let's see. So our participation right now on the eligibility and the free reduced for Joe Henderson is 19%. Mary Farmer is at 27%. Matthew Turner is 12. Robert Semple 44. Middle school 25. High school 20. Benicia Day 71 and Liberty is 33. As a total, as October 24, we are 24% on the free reduced. Okay. So we grants, we still have the grant with the USDA Department of Agriculture. We have a $5,000 grant, which we still receive the unprocessed organic fruits and vegetables. And we take it little by little, and then we pass that to the students so we can give them a better quality of the meals. Okay. We still use our same vendor, and they give us the best price and the best quality when things are not the way we like it, and then they help us out and we find a different product to make sure that we meet our requirements. And next, so we still try to participate as much as possible on the events then schools have it. So we middle school when they had the picnic on the green, then we go to Grandparents Day and Matthew Turner. We do every month we provide lunches for the nurse club, and they have the kids come in. High school do a lot of events. They had some sweets during lunchtime for the kids, so we bake for them, and then they share with the kids during the lunchtime through the leadership program. And then any classroom events, the parents call and we try to encourage them to use the healthy choices. So we continue to have workability with the special needs at the high school. We have, this semester, we have one student working with us. So the goal is to teach the student that have difficult to learn some job skills. So when they leave the high school, they'll be able to be employable. And our goals for this year, of course, is increase breakfast at all the school sites, increase lunch at Benicia Middle School at the high school. Because of the number of population we have, we try to create new recipes. We do taste testing with the students and staff, and we provide professional development to our staff. We provide classes for them so they can learn how to do not only a good customer service, but teach the students choose healthy choices. We're having an auditing coming out at the end of the year, so I'm looking for a positive auditing. So we're working really hard to get all our paperwork done and have everything set for. And the new thing we have for this year, we created a vegan menu due to the demand of the high school kids. A lot of kids like to eat healthy, so each day we have different things already, but next week we have a new menu coming up. So the kids will be able to they can call in the morning or they can send us email and set it aside, and we can have that ready for them when they come to lunch. Or they can pick something that is already on the line, but if they want any of those specialties, we'll have ready for them. Do you have any questions?
Ms. Courtney, just briefly, could you share with everyone the cute story you told me about our new chef and what he did with spaghetti on Halloween?
Yeah, so he's very creative. So yesterday, in the middle of doing morning production, we were doing middle school breakfast. Like we had like a croissant, ham and cheese croissant and stuff. He stopped it and he went and grabbed different things and he started doing something. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, it's Halloween. I have to do something special. So he created meatballs. It looked like an eyeball. So he put a little olive and a little red pepper. And then he made it spaghetti. And then he put some white sauce. And he said, this brings this eye with a bring. And then we put on the line at the high school in the little containers, right? And the kids were taking pictures. They thought it was great. But it's fun to have a person who is creative, and thinking about the kids all the time, what they would like to have, So, yeah. Anybody?
I just want to say thank you. We were in the red before you came on board and took over, and you just completely turned our food services around to where the kids are enjoying the meals and stuff, and we're meeting the federal standards. And I know it was a little bit of work there for a while, but thank you for all your effort and your whole staff and just the way that our food services are. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ms. Courtney, I wanted to just ask, we have food service now at Joe Henderson. What's the plan for rolling out breakfast service at the other elementary schools?
We have, the only elementary I don't have it right now, it's Matthew Turner.
Okay.
And it's a state requirement, and we have to have a minimum of at least 20 student participation for breakfast. Usually the percentage of and the free reduced would be about the same, 20%. Matthew Turner is a little bit lower. We always open to think about it. I don't like to start something and have to take away. So I think I would need to have a little more advertising and maybe incentive from the parents to see if they would be participating on it, because as we know, like, it's all about making sure that we're not wasting the money and labor and food and people don't participate on that. But I would love to have all of them.
So we have all schools breakfast now except
for
Matthew Turner.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to.
Ms. Courtney, I have one more question, because I heard, and I understand it might be a nice way to pull in our high school kids, they get credit towards taking their AP test with the cost, students that are signed up for free and reduced lunch, is that right?
That is correct. And also the kids that have that participate in the free reduce, I think I'm positive they get bus passes. Parents get discounts on the cables companies when they buy phones and computers for the
Right,
students. They get break on that too. Yeah, it is correct. If they have that eligibility, they don't pay for those tests.
Okay, so I think that might be a tool that maybe that might help us, because the secondary is always a level where the
Right.
kids don't want to sign up.
Right.
So it might be
We try to make
a real
also
special way.
fun and we seeing this more and more. Then the kids come in and then we get them involved in letting us know if something then we created they would like it a little bit different. Then we put a tweak on that. As long as we follow the guideline, we always encourage them to come back and let us know what we can do to make it better.
All right, thank you very much.
I wanted to thank you for sharing, bringing food to us.
Oh,
I had the falafel wrap. It was really good.
okay.
thank you.
I wanted to see what we offer to the kids to
Yes.
make sure that, it's just not a piece of paper, color paper and stuff like that. I want you to see what we do for our kids. When I do catering for our district, what are you guys getting? Except for some maybe a little cookies, they're a little more rich. But most of the food we provide to you, the staff and to the teachers, is the same we do for our kids. So
Well, it was very nice and very lovely in their
Okay.
presentation as well, so good for that.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to our reports, and we'll start with our students.
Hello, I'm Amanda Ajari, and I'm the BHS ASB president. And I'm here to talk about a few events that are going on at our high school that have passed. We have had our homecoming week at the beginning of October 10th, I think, that week. We had a carnival that went on Wednesday. We had a bunch of food vendors and a lot of participation and little kids that showed up for the jumpies. We also had our dance. It was planned well. It was really pretty on the inside. All the kids love the DJ. They want him back again for a second dance. We also just finished Red Ribbon Week. It started last Wednesday and ended this Wednesday. And we had a lot of participation, especially on Halloween. And last week, we also did start our canned food drive, and it ends in about 2 weeks. And lastly, our art department put on a haunted house this Wednesday for our classes during school and after school. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was cool. Also, our football team has our first playoff game this Saturday versus Alhambra, I believe. Our tennis team, I believe, is in the playoffs. I think they made it to the second or third round. And I'm not sure about our water polo team. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ashlyn Smith. I am Benicia High School's ASB Vice President, and I just want to report on some upcoming events. We start our intramural volleyball tournament on November 12th to the 16th, and we also have our Veterans Day ceremony next Friday, where we're inviting all veterans present in the BUSD to come and be honored, and we're serving them lunch next Friday. So. Hi, I'm Piper from Liberty High School, and this is what we've been doing. We had our first annual Oktoberfest on Friday, October 26th. It was successful with fun games and food, and we had guests that included our district office, our board members, mentors, and our maintenance department. Thank you all for coming. We celebrated those with perfect or near perfect attendance with certificates and a treat. And since the last board meeting, Liberty High School has gone on 2 field trips. One was combined with Benicia High School to UC Davis and Solano College. And we wanted to thank Gina Morwick and the college and career counselor for all her hard work in organizing this trip. The second field trip was to Alcatraz, where students presented their research to Ranger Benny. Students had been working hard on topics such as social injustice, activism, and living conditions on Alcatraz. We would also like to give a big shout out to the maintenance departments for our newly installed water fountain. Thank you.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you, ladies. That was very well done.
Very.
Okay, so with that said, I can dismiss you. It's good. Maybe some homework to do?
Thank you.
Right about halftime.
So I have a brief update for you. I just wanted to start with this slide. It made me laugh. I think I saw it on Twitter somewhere. It says, whoever doubts the commitment of teachers should visit a school on Halloween.
Or the day after.
Or the day.
Oh, my gosh. And today. Yeah. I was there today. They don't look too good.
It's quite an event. So, yeah, so just a few things. Welcome, everybody. Welcome board. Welcome, audience members. I had a coffee chat this week at Joe Henderson. It was great, very well attended, as always. Lively conversation around a number of topics, and I like to have an opportunity with them when I visit the school sites. I'll debrief with principals, and we'll keep the dialogue going about how we continue to improve our schools. But it's very positive. Just want to share that I did a Rotary presentation. I think it was last week. Ms. Rucci did as well. They were just a really wonderful service organization, Rotary, and I had an opportunity to go there and give a presentation on the school district and the kinds of things that we're involved in. And they're a very supportive, wonderful group. I also attended this event yesterday. This is a great event. It's yearly. It was at the Clock Tower. It's Valero puts it on, and it's a charity event. I think they give out somewhere in the neighborhood of about $350,000 to various service organizations, and they're just so generous to the school district. And we fill out a grant. Neely Silberman does, and Megan Siegel, and we were awarded $25,000 to help with our STEAM program. And then Ms. Silberman is also working on another grant from PayPal for $15,000 to support technology needs in the district. So it's a nice event.
In this event, it's $300 and I think it was $20,000 comes to Benicia and surrounding communities.
That's right, for a lot
in the
of
Bay Area.
That's right.
So it's through the Valero, Valero golf tournament that they do. They're big, huge. One in Texas, but a chunk of that money comes to this facility, and they give that out to the communities and stuff. So a big shout out to them for their grabbing money for us.
It's just a photo I snapped of it's a nice big group of people there, so it's nice event. The next slide. I just put a couple pictures up there because I went to, the girls talked about the haunted house at the high school, and I had an opportunity to go to it. There was some crawling involved and a few yelling. There was a little yelling, but this was really wonderful. It was so well done. I was so proud of everybody who was involved in it, and it was a project-based learning effort. Cross-curricular collaboration over the last 3 to 4 weeks with 3 departments, CTE, visual arts, and the math classes. And there were 8 teachers and over 400 students working on this in their expert areas to create this immersion experience. And it was themed around Hansel and Gretel, and it was very clever, very sophisticated, and I was very proud of them. It was quite an effort. Yeah, it was really neat. And another quick thing I wanted to share with you, I was talking to Mr. Romero, our Director of Maintenance and Operation, and he shared this with me. I thought that's really wonderful. It's where he's been working with the Benicia Tree Foundation. And what they're going to do, that's Farmer Elementary School. And if you see all the little green trees all outlining the parking lot there, so they are going to plant those trees for us. There's 2 or 3 different types. And I think that'll add quite a bit to the school. And he told me that they tend them as well. They water them, and then nurture them, and they keep them going. So they'll be a nice addition for the school. And this is just one quick photograph. I'm not able to make all the sporting events. Try to get to as many as I can. I was able to see water polo on the way home. I hung out with our new assistant principal, Yadira Zapata, and there's our boys water polo team playing Martinez, and they did a really terrific job. It's a great game. They lost by just a couple of goals, but I think the tournament continues, and they'll still be in it. I was proud of those guys too.
I got a text message from a parent that said, "Look, superintendent is here."
Yeah, and they were all quite happy to pose for this picture too, as you can see.
Yeah.
So, so there it is from your superintendent. Thank you.
That's
right. That's right.
Okay, board, do we have anything to report on?
I don't.
Robert Simple had an outstanding carnival on Saturday, Harvest Festival on Saturday. Miss Moore spent a little bit of time in the dunk tank, as well as our police chief, and they kept looking for our superintendent who didn't show up. But, well, maybe next year.
Where in the world?
Now, this is on Saturday. But thank you, and PTA and PTG, where they're called this year, for the effort on that. And it was a good turnout on that. And then we had Benicia Youth Action Coalition meeting last week, and we sponsored a lot of the stuff for Red Ribbon Week at middle school, the high school, and at Liberty. So a lot of their prizes and stuff came from BYAC and our effort there. And we're doing a lot of talking. We know that vaping is a big issue in Benicia with our kids, so we're still looking at a lot of programs and stuff that we could do to help educate our parents on vaping and what vapors could look like and everything. Yeah, we're working on, a couple of our people was able to go back to Iowa Narcotics Association. They have a trailer that they use for narcotics side, but we have grant money to buy. BYC has grant money from the Tobacco Alliance to, we're gonna get a trailer and use that, turn that into a kid's bedroom and use that for education on stuff that they see every day, but they really don't see what they are. So that's coming along. The trip to Iowa was to see how they do their program so we can make curriculum, as well as how they set the trailer up and all their ins and outs on that. So that turned out really well. They're still working on getting the trailer made. So probably we're hoping the end of this school year to actually have it operational, and it's going to be available countywide. So not only, we got the grant money to do it, but we're going to make it available countywide. So that's coming. But we BYC wants to partner or been partnering with the school district, and vaping and education to parents is one of the things that they're really looking at this year. So, and that's my report. And the football game is Saturday at 7 o'clock at Benicia High, and hopefully it would be a sold out event.
Get your tickets early is what I'm hearing.
Get your tickets early.
Okay, so I attended the district curriculum council meeting this last week. Wednesday. This Wednesday? What Wednesday was it? Anyways, we went last week, and we were reviewing and sharing out the self-assessment piece that the team is doing. A lot of interesting data and a lot of in-depth data. I was really amazed at how much information was available for us to begin looking at and discussing. I also attended Turner today. I wasn't sure if I should have brought the whole school coffee with me today. The kids were looking pretty tired. There were a lot of heads down on desks, and teachers were looking a little exhausted as well. So holidays, the Halloween, I know it's real hype because you're all doing parades and everything else, but I almost think we need to look at this calendar and do a PD day or something the next day after Halloween, because oh my gosh, it was pretty incredible. And then I also got the chance to go to Robert Semple today as well. So I got to see the kickoff of Kindness Matters. You want to show off your shirt? Do a turn. There you go. What was really nice going in the classroom, Miss Moore was talking to some of the children, and they turned around to show her what a beautiful smile looks like. And it was like, to wish you had a camera at that moment, because they were pretty incredible. It's just, there's nothing better than seeing a bunch of smiling faces from children. So all in all, I had a really good day. The other thing I was doing, and I want to thank Mrs. Patton, who's gone now, I've been kind of doing a drive around with some of the schools after an accident at one of our elementary schools to just kind of see red lines and that safety stuff around the school on the outside. And I sent a really long email to Dr. Patton and to Mr. Romero and said, hey, do you think we can get these lovely light shades of pink curbs painted to be red again? So that's kind of what's been happening. So as I'm driving around this week, I'm seeing bright red curbs in front of the schools, because a lot of the adults don't pay attention to your pink curbs. And I'm a fan of pink. I love pink, but I'm like, not sure what it means in the driving world. So anyways, I'm really glad to see a lot of red is coming up again. I have some other things I'd like to see us do. The middle school has those great flashing lights in the front, and I know it drives drivers crazy, but I'm kind of thinking we need to extend that idea to some of the other schools. Just watching how children are crossing and not crossing streets. It was really kind of concerning this week to kind of do that kind of a drive for 2 weeks and see what you're dealing with every day out there. So I'd like to continue to push that.
The flashing lights, we need to work with Safe
It's
Routes
the
to
Safe
School.
Routes to
It's
School,
Safe Routes
right.
to School is the one that funds that,
Right.
so.
Well, that's a little slower, but I got the red curves done, so
Yes,
like,
yes, so that.
we're working on that. But I just thought pink wasn't quite the color for curves, so anyways. Okay, so now it's the public's turn. So members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Cards may be completed requesting to address the board. They are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak at regular meetings on agendized and not agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. And with that, I have JoJo. Would you please come on up?
Thank you. JoJo Donetti, Benicia Community Tennis Association. I usually break that when I move it, so not gonna mess with it this time. At the tennis league tournament last week, our #1 singles player, Neha Yadav, made it to the semifinals, and our #1 doubles team of Ashley Coe and Juliana Valencia won the tournament. So they've advanced to the NCS section tournament on November 12th. Our NCS team section tournament starts next week, where we're playing Miramonte on Tuesday, November 6th. I believe it's an away match, so we'll have to come to the next match to be at home. Switching gears a little bit, the middle school tennis courts were labeled a priority 2 project at the community meetings due to the safety issues with the courts. They were scheduled to be repaired last summer originally until the site plans changed and all of a sudden the tennis courts were no longer part of the plan. So take a look at these photos. The top 3 are the middle school courts. You have thick cracks throughout all the courts. This is the surface of the tennis courts, weeds, crumbling, decayed matter. And of course you have a fence that has wires up and holes throughout. The courts were a project in the Measure S bond. Every PE student ran laps on them. They learned pickleball and other sports on them, as well as our junior players who are learning the sport of tennis to become part of your championship high school teams. At the bottom of the page are the high school photos, also a project on Measure S bond. It's not a mirage, that is actually a hump on court 5 along with the cracks. This is a severe opening on the service line of court 6, and there are cracks throughout all 6 courts. And my favorite is this addition of an air conditioning unit next to the tennis courts for the boys' locker room. Because apparently it couldn't be installed at the back of the building where the noise wouldn't make any difference to anybody. But my question for you is this temporary chain link fence, which is tie wrapped to our shed, is that how we're going to keep that? To try to keep the kids and everybody else away from the air conditioning unit? You have the funding in Measure S to fix both sets of courts. Do them right the first time with a qualified tennis court contractor. Fix the underlying water issues that are causing the cracks and the humps so you don't throw money at a patch job. After all, you didn't bring in a guy who makes surfboards to build your high school stadium for $4 million more than it was budgeted for. Thank you.
I do want to just point something out, that the middle school tennis courts were going to be demolished and relocated because the original bond plan was going to take the portables out of there and put new buildings over there. And since the direction has been changed, so that's the only reason why those tennis courts were going to be touched during phase 2. We're still in phase 1 work, and then the air conditioning unit at the high school, that project's not completed. Both girls and boys locker rooms and everything is getting actually getting air conditioning units. So that's a project that is not finished yet.
Okay, we're moving on to the consent calendar now. So I'm going to call for an approval of the consent calendar as presented. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be pulled and discussed.
Yes, and it will be a roll call vote as there are
Two resolutions on there.
I move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote.
It has to be a roll call vote.
All right. Fine.
President Ferrucci,
Yes.
Trustee Holguin,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Monette. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's move to the non-consent action items. We don't have any discussion items. That was confusing to see that. Okay, I guess we're going to consideration and approval of the elementary single plans for student achievement 2018 and 19. Dr. Beekman, please.
Yes, thank you. Board of Trustees, I'm very excited tonight to have our wonderful elementary school principals present their single plans for student achievement each year. Schools work with their staff and their data to look at what goals they need to put in place and then actions and services to meet those goals. And those help them drive the focus of the work that they do each year. And tonight you will hear a presentation from each of the 4 elementary schools. And at the end, we will ask that you would approve these single plans for student achievement. And so I'll just have a new clicker. Betty made my night when she told me that she got a new clicker that doesn't have the rolly. Let's see if I can. It might be at the wrong angle. Is that? It's on. I think. I'm going to give it back to you to. I think it's the angle. Can't win. Thank you. So tonight, what we're hoping that you get from this presentation from each of the school sites is an understanding of how the schools made progress on their goals from last year, understand what goals they've set for this current year, and then I've asked them each to share one highlight of an action or service that they're excited about that they think is going to help them reach their current goals. And just a little bit about the plan development process. The purpose is to raise the academic performance for all students. And so we look at students as a whole group, and then we look at student groups, just as we do with the CASP. The plans, which are linked to your presentation, are all in the same format across the district. It did change this year, so the state put out a new template, and it looks very much like the LCAP. So there's a few new sections in the site plans, which is a good thing because it helps us make sure that we're in alignment. So in the plans, when you look at them, a couple of the new pieces that you'll see are a stakeholder engagement piece, which is not as robust as it is in the LCAP, but it talks about the work that schools do with their staff and their site councils. And then the other new section in the plan is an annual review section. In the single plans, it's after their new goals. So they have their new goals, and then later on in the plans are the annual update, which tells how they did last year, which is a new section. The goals are based on multiple data points, and they're developed jointly with their staff and site council. So at this time, I'm honored to ask Melissa Harley, our new principal of Mary Farmer Elementary School, to kick us off.
I'm going to move this down. Hi there. Welcome. I'm excited to tell you and honored to be here and excited to share our our site plan. We did have quite a few conversations as a staff. My precious site council had an opportunity to hear about our single plan ad nauseum. We went through all of it together. I even like made up for them a little acronym guide so that we can get through that, bless their hearts. So as far as our progress on the goals from last year, we had some high points and some areas for growth for sure. So I'm not going to go over all of that data since you have that there, but you can see there were kind of several places that we did not quite reach where we expected to and wanted to be for sure. In both English language arts and math as well. We did have some specific areas I'll tell you when we get to the next slide that were celebrations for us for sure. So needless to say, it's a year of transition and it's a new time at our site, and we actually have a lot of really positive sense of where we're going now. It's really palpable if you're there on the site, even beyond our adorable group costume yesterday. So
Yes, that was
I'm going to move on to the next slide and sort of let you know what we have in mind for next year. So we had areas of growth that we went backwards on several things. And so set out what I hope is a reachable goal by just increasing where we started from our last, where we started from last year and improve by 10%. I felt like a reachable, accessible goal, and getting everybody on the same page was a good way to go with that. So our hope is with our overall to get back to a point that we're at 59% of our students meeting or exceeding the standards in English language arts, and 64%. Our goal is for 64% in math. I'm super excited actually about our climate goal because I had this inspiration that, you know what, if we are faithful to the PBIS program, we're going to see an increased exceptional behavior from our students. And so I tied the cultural goal to like a measurement of our fidelity to the a pretty complex, that tiered fidelity inventory is a pretty complex instrument to sort of see all the different ways that we're sticking to that program. And we have a whole reboot that we're doing with PBIS. And I have a 10-person PBIS committee. Like they are just into it and they're rocking it. We're pretty excited. So last year, like what we saw that were kind of really good news for us were specifically our students with disabilities, like kind of went all the way over in both ELA and math. So that was a good year for that. And our students who are Hispanic also met or exceeded in both ELA and math. We moved up in that 35% and 40% respectively. And our students who are designated socioeconomically disadvantaged, we had 52% of those students meet or exceed on the math portion of the CASP. So that was some good news for us. So our plan for this year, a couple different things. We want to, we had a program in the past that we did before we were workshop that is called Walk to Learn. And Walk to Learn is a flexible sort of intervention model. It's like, it's in addition to our core curriculum that we would have a point in the day that the students would go to each of the, well, let me rephrase this. So based on their assessed need in a specific area, we have all of the classroom teachers, the intervention teacher, and the resource specialist all take kids so they can be in smaller groups with higher needs, both extension and reteaching. So we're pretty excited about that, but I tried to make that also a reasonable goal by like, okay, 2 or 3 of our grade levels are going to pilot that for this year because it's kind of a complex scheduling thing for sure. And I personally am also going to work through kind of some really focused PD on some very specific things that I'd like to see our staff strengthen and be able to do. And some of them specifically were areas that we could see were needs from our CASP data, which were parts of ELA, which were the listening portions of the ELA, the CASP ELA assessment, and then the explanation of reasoning, which was part of the math. So we're looking kind of for ways to be really specific on that. And our staff is planning a book club for our culturally responsive teaching book that we all are so excited about. So that's actually coming from the staff themselves. That's not something I'm planning for them. So that's, I think, some really good news for that, where their state of mind is for that. And again, with this reboot of our PBIS. So we're getting exceptional support from Jen Baker, has been there to support us and visit our particular crew, and also providing trainings for them. So we're really excited about that. It feels really good. Do you have questions for me? Be kind. Be kind. It matters. Okay? Right? Sure. Mm-hmm. What a question that is. No, it's fair. That's fair. Right. So why we wouldn't go from like, we're going to try from 52% up to 100%? Okay, so no, it's exactly, absolutely. So there's a lot of different ways to think about that, right? Of course, our goal would be for every kid to like reach that 100%, but we also, they're human beings that have all of their own individual needs. And I think that specifically, if we're talking about measuring from a standardized test, if all those kids reached 100%, the test would change. Like there wouldn't be any reason for, like that would be no longer considered an appropriate test, right? But as far as like who we're teaching, who's in our seats, who were there, they have a whole number of things that go on for them that's beyond, obviously beyond what that test can measure, right? So it's more complex than that, I think.
That's a terrific answer. And just, the many years that we've done this, you typically talk about, 5 percentage points is statistically significant. And then we always, want to certainly exceed that, but then we set that amount because we feel like that even that's a challenging. It's more students than you'd think. So a nice clarity. Thank you.
Thank
and that's not just a farmer. I mean, that's all schools.
Absolutely.
These goals set. So thanks.
I just want to also thank Melissa for walking with me last week. I got caught in a fire drill at that school. I'm kind of thinking that maybe I shouldn't go to farmer anymore.
You're smoking.
Huh?
You're smoking.
Yeah, no, really, they are. But what I wanted to share is it had such a nice feel, and watching you interact with the kids, I thought I felt really good when I left.
Thank you.
So I was very grateful
We
for
were
that.
glad
So
to
I just
have
wanted
you.
to share that up.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
That was a good feeling at Farmer. So thank you.
And I want to say that as a parent of Mary Farmer and as someone who knows you as in past field trips, it's really exciting to have you as our leader. And I really personally feel a big difference this year having you on board. And I think I've heard a lot of parents also discuss that. And the campus feels really positive and good. So
Thank you.
just wanted you to know you're supported and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. I will let my illustrious colleagues report out too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Young, our cabinet. Thank you for your steadfast commitment to our great school district, and a school district I'm very proud of. And I can talk from every facet of the organization, from maintenance and operations to Tanya, food services, Terry Dean coming around and helping us out, student services, business office. I feel like I can pick up the phone, call anybody. Kush was down there first thing this morning helping me, but it's an amazing team, and I appreciate everything you do for me to create the conditions for me to be successful running a school. So thank you for that. I'm honored to be the principal at Matthew Turner, and I appreciate, very grateful, and appreciate this opportunity to share our data from 2017 to 2018 and to present our new goals for the year. We have an outstanding team of educators determined to provide a safe, engaging, inspiring, and challenging learning environment for all our students and to move the needle with student achievement. So our site council spent a lot of time crunching the numbers, analyzing the data, our staff and our leadership team, and also Leslie and Stephanie and our admin team really looking at numbers and how we can move forward. So here's a look at last year's goals and outcomes. Overall, we were trying to get to 70% of students in English language arts meeting or exceeding. We got to 71%, and that was about a 10% increase from the year before. So we were really proud of that movement. Our student groups, we were trying to get all the student groups up to about 45% meeting and exceeding. We did pretty well there. Our socio-economically disadvantaged, group of students went up to 52%, and it was very proud of that. Pretty big jump over the last 2 years. And our students with disabilities, the year before, we didn't have one student that met or exceeded expectations, and this year bumped that up to 40%. So I'm really proud of our team for doing that. Our EL group, we had 10 students, and we had one student that met the standard. So that's an area that we're working on, and trying to have some really valuable conversations on how we can continue to grow there. In mathematics, while we didn't meet our goal of 75% meeting and exceeding, we did move up 2 percentage points to 68%. We're trying to get all our student groups up to 50%, and took a little drop there. And our socioeconomically disadvantaged group, we were 37%. African American student group, 36%, and our ELs were at 26%. So definitely some areas to grow in and to focus on, and it's a lot of complex work, and we're trying to make the most of the time to do that. Regarding our climate survey, with culture, we sent a survey out, and we got about 150 respondents from our families. And one of the areas we wanted to improve was rigor of instruction. They were asked a question, do you feel your child is challenged academically? And it was in the mid-70s. So that was an area we wanted to boost that up, and we got it up to about 87%. So that was a good gain there. And then environment rich in diversity and culture. Our goal was 87%, and we got it up over 90%, just a little bit over there. And that, when we discussed that, well, so it's 90%, but that's still 10 families that don't feel that the school is rich in diversity and culture. So significant enough for us to talk about it and continue to focus on it. Our PBIS, our core values, really put that out there, being a role model, be kind, be safe, be respectful, be responsible. And 92% of respondents felt like they were familiar with those goals and had heard their children talking about it. So for the goals for 2018, 2019, for ELA, we want to boost that up to 75%, meeting and exceeding standards. It's going to be a challenge, huge challenge, but we site council is really competitive, ambitious, and so is our staff, and we want to try to do that best we can. We want to get our English learners up to about 40% meeting and exceeding, and just continue to move our socioeconomically disadvantaged students up to 55%. In math, 75% as well. We figure 3/4 of our students are meeting or exceeding expectations. It's a pretty solid gain there. And then climate and culture. We want to increase that number again up to into the 90s. And we've got a couple really excellent events that we want to run this year. We've got a international group that we have of families that are getting together and planning international night, and ways that we can incorporate it within the school day. And also progress monitoring. 62% of our parents found that they wanted a better gauge on where their students were doing academically. They have the conference, they have the report cards, but the in-between. So we're working on that as a staff. We have the Blooms app and the Seesaw app, but we're also working on ways to do that. Okay, trying to move the needle here. Best ways, we've got a revamped RTI program that we're working on. And that is, instead of having the same students in response to intervention throughout the year, we're doing 6 8-week intervals, and it's targeted instruction, trying to hit those standards and then move on to something else and get a new group of students in there. And also our media escape room library, got a ton of new books. It's very exciting, that are going to really stress importance of diversity, celebrating women's achievement, social justice. So we're very excited about that. And we also received the Silver Award for Tier 1 implementation of PBIS. And so we want to take that to the next level. So all I have for tonight. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I just want to share with Mr. Slater, well, I know Mr. Slater knows, actually, this is a school where I volunteer in the classrooms because I work with my grandchildren's teachers, so I get to see a lot of this living out in there, so there's some pretty incredible things going on, and the teachers are very responsive to the kids, so, and I know that's reflective of the campus, and it's a reflective of Mr. Slater, so just thank you. So I know my lens is a little different for your school than the others, since you have me there every week, lucky you.
Volunteer for both the grandchildren and in classroom. You devote a lot of time for us to make things a terrific difference. So thank you for that.
I just want to thank Steve Slater for breaking the ice here, the chuckle. I thought you said escape room and not media escape. Like, I know you have a big campus, but wow, I want an escape room. Anyway, thank you. It's exactly what I was thinking. Exactly. It's for the children. Thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to present tonight all of the things that we're so proud of at our schools. I did want to answer one of the questions also that was addressed to Mrs. Harley. These percentages are fantastic, but I also wanted you to know what they don't represent, which is those students who nearly met the goals. Those are the kids that maybe missed one question away from meeting their goal, and that actually is a huge percentage of students. So I think you would be quite surprised or pleased to see how big of a percentage that is. Please don't ask me, I don't know off the top of my head, but it is a significant amount of students.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Christina, because I think the other piece it doesn't show is all the students that made growth. So from no matter where they were on that scale.
Except now you can see growth over time through the CASC website. And one of the things that we struggled with was, that's fantastic how our third graders did in 16, 17. Wow, they look at the third graders in 17, 18, but that's not really measuring student to student. And now we can actually track those kids. It's not the tracking that we're not doing, following. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I also want to say it's a really hard test. So log on and take the third grade practice test.
No.
Start there. I'm not undermining your intelligence. It's hard. It requires a different thought process, right? So props to them. The other thing is come to a classroom, because this is just one measure. There's amazing work on the walls. You open a journal, there's some incredible thoughts. So just make sure that you realize that this is just one measure, okay? Based on last year's goals, Semple has many celebrations, not surprised. I don't want to go through everything that's up there. You have it. However, I would like to highlight that overall in mathematics, we saw an increase of 4%. It's going the right direction. That's overall third, fourth, and fifth grade students combined. I do want to note that our English language learners population saw the biggest increase in math, which was an overall gain of 9%. That's huge. It's one of my subgroups. In the English language arts area, we saw an overall increase, third, fourth, and fifth graders of 7%. Right direction. Our socioeconomically disadvantaged students saw the biggest increase of 16%. So that is also one of my subgroups. We're really proud of them. PBIS is it's hard to explain. It's something that is going strong at our school but needs a reboot, as Semple is doing. We did see an increase of our out-of-school suspensions. We increased by 15 from last year, from in the 16-17 to the 17-18 school year, bringing us to 26 out-of-school suspensions, which is actually painful. It's not anything I'm proud of. And so that has actually been our focus as to why is that happening? What else can we be doing? Are we doing restorative justice? Are we doing conflict management in the way in which we can equip our students with tools to prevent these sorts of things? It's not an easy thing to suspend a student. Sometimes it's the safety. There's a lot of things that go into that. It's not an easy decision to make. And so we have kind of embraced this whole school, taken a step back at looking at the data through Swiss, looking at where this is happening, when this is happening, what grade level is this happening, what time of day is this happening, and we're spending a good deal of time in our PBS team looking at that and trying to kind of backwards map and figure out where the problem is. Our goals this year, we actually think we have set great goals. We want to continue with that, which is to see an increase of 5%. We think that's reasonable and it's doable. We do also think that we can be successful in decreasing our suspension rate. When I came to Robert Semple 4 years ago, there was 42 suspensions, and we dropped that significantly. I think it was down to like 13 or something like that. So we know it's possible. Let's see here, new actions and service highlights. While we have many new exciting things we will be implementing, we are most excited about 3 things. One is SECO, which is our check-in and our check-out. So if you know anything about PBIS, there's 3 tiers to it, and our tier 3 are our most critical students who need the most attention. We have increased that from addressing 2 students to 6 students. So they have a mentor that checks in with them every morning and checks in with them at the end of every day. And they set a goal that can shift based on how their day is going. They also check in with their teacher anywhere from 3 to 5 times during the day. And so we're able to we've trained my office manager. We've trained a number of new people, and so we're really excited to be able to offer that to 6 tier 3 students. There are not very many tier 3 students, so 6 is a large number. So we're very excited to be able to do that. I've instilled principal's lunch bunch, and that has made a huge difference in some of our students that we'll say need the most attention and they need the most love. And I've gotten some permission slips from parents to take them on spontaneous field trips. We walk the neighborhood, we take our journals, we go to the park, we sit and we talk, we get to know each other, we break down boundaries. And I have seen a decrease in their needing my attention in just in the last 3 weeks. So we're going to continue to push that and do that. So excited about that. And then, like I said, we're relaunching our PBIS, rebooting it, but we're really folding in my site council. So they're looking into character trait programs that we can be using. That's their mission right now. And my leadership team, I'm folding them into PBIS as well to be working with their grade levels so that we can just kind of do some hard work and get it out quicker and faster to people. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you. Any questions? None?
No, but again,
Thanks.
Chris, I just want to thank Christina too as well. I could see evidence today when I was even there this time and the last time, kids seeking her out to say how well they were, what a great day they were having today or something that they did, and they're so patient with them. Those children do need lots of love. So yes, I saw a lot of that going on. So it's quite fun.
I did that too.
Did you get some pictures? So great, thank you. Mrs. Buck.
Mrs. Buck. Okay. Well, I told Christina that I was going to do my presentation in interpretive dance. She dared me, so no. double dog dare. Okay. So hello, Superintendent Young and our admin council team and our board. I just want to say that the support that we get from Cush and Leslie is just amazing. It allows us to be successful teachers, staff members, and myself, but most importantly, it comes from the top. It comes from Dr. Young. I've worked under, you're my 10th superintendent in 18 years of education, and by far the best. Just where you lead, we will follow. Your entire admin team feels that way. So I just had to say that. And board, I know that you have a huge task. I come from Vallejo, and I don't know if you've ever seen any of their board meetings, but just coming, they're toxic. I mean, you leaving, you have PTSD. The fighting and the yelling and the name calling, it's awful. So coming here and being at these meetings is truly pleasant, seeing you all work together in such a positive manner. It starts from here, and then it trickles out. So I think that's why we're so successful in this district. So I just wanted to say thank you. Yeah. So what we do is when we receive our data, we pull out Turner's data and we say, did we beat them in anything? We're always competing with them, with Matthew Turner. No, we didn't do that, but we worked hard with School Site Council and our leads. We do. I mean, at staff meetings, I truly say, okay, the goal is to beat Turner. That's all. And my teachers will tell you I have said that at staff meetings. So the data. So last year, we took a 2% dip in English language arts overall. And in math, we gained 3%. So a little bit flat. So we're looking to improve that. This subgroups for English learners and African American students, there were not enough students to pull data. So we didn't know if we saw growth in that, but our other subgroups we had great success with, so that's fabulous. With climate and culture, we had just started the referral process. And we changed the office discipline referral to, now we call it the behavior tracking form. Because really, the kids may not need to come see me, or we may not need to call parents, but we want to track that data. Because if we have a student who is doing this 2 or 3 or 4 times, we want to make sure that we know that and that we can problem solve. So last year, we really looked at a baseline number of referrals, and we had 580. It's a lot, but we also had teachers who weren't referring at all, and then we had some staff members who were referring a lot. We had one student who had 33% of our referrals by January. He was a frequent flyer. So we're working to support him and all of our students. But we did move from Tier 1 to Tier 2 status. That was the goal, so we met that goal. So we're now in Tier 2, moving up the ladder. Attendance, we did take a dip from 96.75 to 95.84, which is it's a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's huge. And in a district like Benicia, 95%, in my mind, attendance rate is embarrassing. So we do need to address that, and we've talked at admin council meetings about what we can do. Thank you, Tim, for pulling the data and getting it to us. We appreciate it. So we're looking at that. So again, our goals this year, if we dipped 2% in ELA last year, we want to increase by 5 plus that 2. Increase by 5, well, you lost 2, that would be a net gain of 3. So we want to increase to 66% in English language arts and increase to 72% in math. We're stronger in math, so we really need to look at our practices, best first practices for English language arts. But it is important to note that our cohort data has shown growth. So our kids from 3rd grade to 4th and 4th grade to 5th grade, they are showing growth. So that is super cool. And then now that we're at Tier 2, we're looking at new action plans for our the tiered fidelity inventory that says, okay, this is what you're doing, and now here's your actions to implement PBIS. So we just want to increase by 25% from the baseline this fall to the end of the school year. So again, these are some of our highlights. Our 3rd graders increased both in ELA and math. So we want to talk to our 3rd grade teachers and say, hey guys, what are you doing? Tell us your secret. We received the bronze award for Tier 1. Now, I know Turner got a silver. I said that Steve cheated on the test is really what I said. No, I don't think he did. We're doing some amazing things in PBIS, and I know Christina the year before received an award, so we're doing some great things on implementation. So now what? One of the biggest things we need to do is we need to do laser light focus on these 6 kids who we need to move the needle on. What are we doing for those X amount of kids per classroom, and having those action steps, and then constantly monitoring those kids. Because if you're doing it for those 6 kids, you're going to be doing it for the rest of the kids, and they will benefit from it. So really looking at a laser light focus on those target students. Also, curriculum implementation with fidelity and teaching bell to bell. Our coaches right now are working tirelessly. And my teachers are like, yes, oh my gosh, now I get it. I get guided reading. So the coaches pushing in and working with the teachers have really, I've heard good feedback from the teachers they're working with. And then one of the coolest things that we're doing, well, 2 cool things we're doing with PBIS is we started mindfulness practices. In addition to having community circles, so I go into classrooms, I model how to do a community circle. We sit down, we talk about how to problem solve, what can you do if somebody hits you on the playground, or maybe it's what are you going to be for Halloween. It practices student voice, but it also helps problem solve. But Janie Vicar Lewis, she's a retired teacher and she lives in Benicia. She's been coming in and she's pushing into classrooms and doing mindfulness with kids. And to see 32 fifth graders just and it's amazing. It's super cool. So teaching kids, even our TK kids are doing it, how to self-regulate. I mean, as adults, how many adults do we know that have problems self-regulating? So it's really cool to see. Right now, over half of our teachers are getting coached, and a handful are already sailing on their own. So we're releasing it onto them, so they're doing it with their kids. And then our PTG just bought mindfulness chimes for every single classroom. Every teacher said, yes, I want one. So now, and including myself, I got my little bell over there. I'm going to use it with my office staff sometimes. Ding. Okay, guys, breathe. I know that was a parent in there, but breathe. So she's going to, so we all have mindfulness bells. And so it's really cool. And then the other thing is recess club, because if kids aren't into basketball or tetherball or foursquare or kickback, then they're walking around doing nothing. And if they're doing nothing, they're going to find something to do, and it's probably going to end them up in my office. So what we started is recess club alternatives. I did it at my last school, but starting with things like coloring. I purchased Legos. I blocked off the computer lab, and our tech coach is going to come in and do some coding during that time. We're going to get donations of dress ups and play, and let the kids play during that time. It's just, we're really excited. And we've also started restorative practices that my teachers are really, really jazzed about. So those are just some of the highlights of at Henderson. Come on up anytime. We'd love to see you. Questions?
I got one, and maybe Leslie will have to help out on that. What's the difference between tier 1 and tier 2? And what's the difference, and how do you get the different?
So tier 1 is whole school. Be safe, be respectful, be responsible. We're going to pass out paw prints when we see positive behavior. You want to set the expectations and praise kids when they're doing the right thing. That's whole school. Tier 2 is now we're going to focus on groups of kids. So maybe this group of kids struggle with how to join in a game at recess time. So that is supports that you're going to do for certain groups of kids to move them along. And then tier 3 is your 2 to 5% of my little friend who received 33% of the referrals. He needs something different than everybody else. And so we need to do tier 1, 2, and 3 all the time to help kids be successful, but the training happens on certain years. So you may not move from tier 1 to tier 2 in 1 year. Sometimes it takes 2 years to move there, but it's really the training that you get to move between the tiers.
Thank you. So I just want to say to all of our elementary administrators, to you and to your staffs, I think it's fair for all of us. I think I could speak for everybody and say hats off to all of you. I love walking on the elementary campuses. The kids are there. They're always, hi, what's your name? And they just kind of engage you in conversations. It's a great feeling on every one of our campuses. So I know it's a credit to the leadership and to the teachers that are on that campus and all the staff working there. So I just want to say thank you. So please share that back with them. And I know working on the data, this is hard. This is big, hard work when you're really diving. And I could, obviously from the things you're talking about, you've set out quite a task for yourself at each and every site. So I am sure that it'll work and it'll be successful. But you just need to know we're really appreciative and we thank you for that. So thank you.
Actually, we need to, yes, so I'll make a motion that we approve the single plan for student achievement for our elementary sites as presented.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the plans are all approved. Thank you. Now you could breathe. Practice, Mel. Reach everybody. Yeah, really. Okay, so now Now we're going to move on to consideration and approval of the early notification retirement incentive. Dr. Gill.
Thank you. After the wonderful presentation from the principals, I feel like my item is really boring. So it is amazing.
It's not good. She can make it.
Yes,
Maybe
she'll make it exciting, right? It is amazing. They're really correct. It is amazing to see the enthusiasm and at the school sites, classrooms, the activities they do. And I visited 2 classrooms, 2 school sites today, 1 yesterday, and even though. I just can't stay away from them, even though Leslie's their supervisor and she's supposed to be doing all of the kind of stuff. It's just a habit. I kind of put myself out there anyway. But it is amazing because that's where when we hire these people and we see them in action, it feels really good. And the classrooms really feel good. And then we feel like, you know what, all the work that we did in the spring and the summer and to go recruit these people and hire them and are working with their teachers, working with their support staff is being paid off. So having said that, in our world, HR kind of world, we start the year, but we already start thinking about next year. That's how we function. So we plan for it's like planning a big wedding. So we plan for starting for next school year. We're already planning for August 2019 right now, even though we just barely started the school year. So that's why we bringing this item forward. I'll read it because it's important for me to read most of it, but just in a nutshell, this is a item that we brought up last year too, around this time. And there's a correction in the year. So in order to assist the district in planning for the upcoming school year, to assist the district in recruiting the most highly qualified employees for the 2019-20 school year, that's what should be. The Benicia Unified School District is offering an early notification of retirement incentive to all certificated and classified employees. I know for a fact it was done last year and the year before. So it's the same exact thing, $1,500 to employees who give us their retirement notification. They could by January 11th by 4:30 p.m. No exceptions. It has to be in HR office by January 11th, 4:30 p.m. And once they're submitted, they're accepted, they're non-revocable. Any employees who do provide it, full-time employees, they will receive $1,500 as an incentive. And any employees who are part-time, it will be prorated bonus. So for example, for 60% FTE, it will be $900 and so on. So that's an incentive. What we will do from here on is once we receive the approval from the board, first time we're bringing to the board to approve this. If we receive or when we receive the approval from the board, we will communicate through letters through email with the entire district. And then we do send reminders as the time goes by and hopefully get a list going on. So people who have been working very hard for all these years. So.
Dr. Gill, at what point do the employees receive the bonus? Like, do they receive it when they turn the letter in, or do they receive it at the end of their school year? The actual $1,500?
At the end of the school year. I was looking at our business person. Yes, at the end of the school year.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Dr. Gill?
No, I'm just glad that when we went to this, it has allowed us to hit the colleges and the early job fairs, knowing that we have openings that are coming up instead of hitting them saying, hey, if you're interested, we may have an opening. We're able to go and say, we know this is what we have. And it's, I've talked to my friends in districts in Southern California, and they're just going, how do you keep getting all these people? And, we're in the middle of the summer and we have a great exactly.
We have a great team.
But we're able to know what we have instead of waiting till August when school's supposed to start back up and finding out that we don't have people coming back because they decided they're going to retire. So,
because we have a great HR department. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Can I call for a motion, please?
I move that we approve the early notification of the retirement incentive bonus.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
All right, and it looks like that is the end of our agenda. So thank you, everybody, for coming. I think we get you home in a timely manner, and this meeting is adjourned.